Thank you, everybody, for once again joining me on the Jason Banicki Experience podcast. As always, I am your host, Jason Banicki. You can add me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at JASONBANICKI. Please give us a like on the Facebook page, the Jason Banicki Experience podcast. You can add us on Instagram. I'm going to try and start doing more on Instagram, maybe some Instagram stories, or just more than posting just like, hey, this week's episode. At Jason Banicki Experience. As always, please subscribe, rate, review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Amazon, Castbox, Satchel podcast players, iHeartRadio. You guys seem to be finding us more and more different places. Appreciate the support. As always, my podcasting is a little hit or miss based on my work schedule. However, I'm going to try something a little different for the next few episodes and see how I like it, see if I can stick with it, and keep this process going forward and give you guys more regular content, even if it's shorter. You know, I always talk to people at work about needing to zig when everybody else zags. So as podcasting is getting saturated with 1 hour podcasts or even a longer format, I think I'm going to try and zag away from that zig into a shorter, maybe 10, 15, 20-minute episodes. Going to try and record one every night when I get home, whether it's, at 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 10 or 11. Get one episode recorded. That way there's a new one up every morning, at least during the 5 weekdays. We'll see if I want to keep going through the weekends. Like I said, we'll play it by ear. It may not be every day for now. There's nothing that beholds me to being out here once a week. Like I said, I almost missed a month before. And I've had some gaps, obviously. But like I said, I'm going to try this new, shorter format. Going to try and keep podcasts to one topic per episode. So that way I don't have to go into longer explanations. And like I said, I'm going to try shorter format to zig while everybody's zagging. And I don't want to get elaborate, too stuck on this for too long. But I think this is something that'll get me to record more often. That way I can just leave my equipment all out and hooked up and just have to unplug the power cord so nothing power surges when I'm sleeping and when there's an electrical storm or anything like that. Then I think this will be a neat way for more people to enjoy this, enjoy my thoughts, I guess, is the way I'm going to put it out there. I always kind of view myself as a low-grade Renaissance man. I always find myself struggling to find like one or two things to focus in and learn really hardcore. I always want to learn a lot. I want to learn a little bit about everything. And I think that will give me a lot of topics to talk about and a lot of things to cover going forward. And I think this will give me a chance to force me to maybe figure out what things I do like talking about more, what things I want to study more, where I want to go forward just with everything. Because here in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be gainfully unemployed. So I'm going to have a lot of time to make some decisions on what I want to do next, barring, a last minute Hail Mary on a couple of my last 2 job applications that are sitting out there, and give me an idea where I want to go. Maybe a chance to study something new and pick a new topic. I can't be the only person out there. I'd love to hear from some of you, about your experiences with this kind of thing where, you sometimes find yourself wanting to learn, physics one day, economics the next, foreign relations the third day, political parties the next, criminal law another day, civil law another day, Supreme Court, rulings and constitutional law a third day. Just being all over the map, mechanical physics, theoretical physics. I just struggle at times to try and say, hey, here's what I want to focus on. History has always been one thing that's really intrigued me, and that's what I studied primarily in college, along with education. And I've really just decided not to use either one of those going forward, for 2 reasons primarily. One, after years and years as being a correction officer, it would be just impossible for me to decide to teach. Luckily, that's one of the nice things about a good education program, is to get you earlier classroom experience, and you just realize after years of everybody basically having to listen to you in one way or fashion or another, that dealing with 13 to 17-year-old kids who aren't used to being told no or basically told what to do, that I wouldn't be able to handle that experience. And in the world of academia, tenured track positions for history professors are going away faster than Donald Trump's favorability rating right now. I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes on my podcast, but get used to it. Something I'm going to do. And that was a really bad one because that's not even something that's really dipped much. Like he was at 46%, 47% on the high side on election day, and he's like at 40, somewhere between 42 and 44 now, so it really hasn't dipped that much. Really poor joke. I blame myself. I'll focus on that later. But like I said, I'm going to try and keep them to a shorter format. I'm going to try and do them even more regularly than the normal prescribed once per week. Just so that way I can force myself to focus on one thing per episode. And I'm hoping this is something that'll kind of make everybody engage more people. And again, it'll also give people a chance to say, well, I'll subscribe to it, but if I don't like this episode or this topic, I can just delete this episode. I'm not going to worry about it. If he wants to talk about Cubs baseball today, cool. If he wants to talk about, the humanitarian crisis in Nairobi, well, I don't want to listen to that. I'm going to skip it, delete it, out of here, boom, done. So I think it's a way for me to engage more people on a regular basis by not necessarily somebody feeling like they have to download an entire hour episode to hear a 10 or 15 minute episode that they want to hear about, or a segment that they want to hear about within the episode. They could just say, okay, this episode I like, this episode I don't. And this thought process really came about just as a process of I was actually thinking about scrapping this feed altogether and doing just starting from scratch with one that I would have called the Daily Sports Brief or Daily Sports Briefing, I think is what I was going to go with. One of the two. Basically, though, it's just I've been reading more and more and more about ESPN struggling and things that they're trying to do to combat that. And to me, one of the things that I feel like ESPN has struggled to understand is, in the modern era that we're in now with streaming and shorter attention spans and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and video and all of these things that just change the way that people absorb information. One of the things I miss most from ESPN was when I was, in middle school and high school, it was the 30-minute episode of SportsCenter to start your day. It was really basic, really cut and dry. Here's the scores. Here's the important stats. Here's one or two important things going on in the world of sports today. I'd get up in the morning, watch 2 episodes, go to school, be informed about the sports world for the day. Now, when they're doing hour, 90-minute episodes, they're longer. People aren't as informed. They're talking just about a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. They're getting way distracted. They're too focused on the hot take culture or, the rumor mills or anything else that's just not primarily sports related. And I think that's been part of their problem is that they've kind of lost their core consumer through that. Plus, again, people don't want to spend 90 minutes watching a sports show just to get a daily rundown of the scores and the stats and the key things going on in the sports world. If they could get back to that 30-minute concept, then I think they could attract more people back into watching what essentially is their flagship program in SportsCenter. So what I was thinking is that I could do something like the Daily Sports Brief or Daily Sports Briefing or something along that I would call it, that I do, record every night, not get, do a 10 or 15 minute quick rundown of all the scores, any marquee stats, any key happenings in the sports world for the day. Bing, bang, boom, give people something they can knock out real quick on the ride to work. And then I thought, well, I've already got a feed. I've already got some subscribers. Already got some built-in followers. How about instead of focusing back on sports, which is kind of where I started with wanting to do this podcast, and then I found I couldn't stick to sports. Not sure I could do it if I went going forward. That I could keep going forward my, keep the feed I have. And keep this broad-based idea of I'm just allowed to talk about whatever I want and get an insight into the world of me and what I think and what I enjoy and what I'd like to do. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I know that this is kind of a little bit of a rambling episode. As I say, I want to kind of keep things focused to one topic, but I feel like this is a good way for me to address another pivot in this podcast that I've, renamed, twice in just over a year, and taken a break and kind of shaped the focus a couple of different times. So I feel like this was an opportunity for me to just basically say, hey, I know I haven't had an episode out yet this week. Here's something I'm looking to do. Here's where I think we're heading. And just be on the lookout for more micro episodes going forward. Again, like I said, that's going to going to be my one last shot at keeping this feed up and keeping me engaged in it enough that I feel like I'm getting regular enough content out to grow it. You can't grow a podcast if you don't have regular content. So what I'm saying is here's my behind the scenes thinking of where I'm going and why you're going to see more frequent episodes, but they're going to be shorter episodes. And again, I don't expect everybody to listen to everyone. Like, I'm already planning tomorrow is going to be a short one on campaign finance reform. I know I've got one coming up on education reform. I'm still going to have guests on when they want to be on. But this way I don't feel like the need to pester my friends 2 or 3 times a week. Like, hey, can you get together and do this real quick? It's hard for me to do an hour by myself, but I can do 15 or 20 minutes by myself. And so I just feel like this is going to be a shot for me to do that. And then when people want to come on, hey, I can bring you on. Maybe we do 30 minutes instead of 15 or 20. Or maybe we still do 15 or 20 and we can, again, do 2 or 3 episodes at a time and get them banged out. I know I've got a baseball preview episode I want to record coming up before the season kicks off. I'm definitely going to try and get, at least 1 or 2 other people in. More fun to do preview episodes if you have a couple of people making predictions of what's going to happen. So I feel like this is just going to be hopefully one of my last behind the curtains episodes. But amazingly, there is a huge market out there for people who kind of want to see up behind the curtain of podcasting, who enjoy listening to it and want to learn more about it. Not really sure how long this is going to go today, or how long it's gone, because I'm wrapping up here. But like I said, this is going to just be a way for me to take my Renaissance light interests and, my wide varied ADHD tendencies and try and use them for both positives. One, reduce the ADHD tendencies just because I'm going to have a smaller time frame to fill. So hopefully I don't get lost and wondered. 2, it'll help me reduce the need to find co-hosts and make it as entertaining. Although I feel like the last episode I released with me and Brad and Aaron was pretty good. I went back and listened to it, and I found it fairly entertaining. I hope you guys did. If you didn't, go back and download. Boys Are Back, and it's a good one. We were drinking a little bit. We were just being guys. With 3 college roommates, had a good time. And like I said, this will allow me to talk about things and study things and hopefully find my greater interests for whatever's next for me going forward. So thanks for tuning in today. As always, this was the Jason Benicki Experience podcast. Give us a like on Facebook, the Jason Benicki Experience. Add us on Instagram at the Jason Benicki Experience. It's the Jason Benicki Experience podcast on Facebook. I'm not sure why I said that. As always, you can please subscribe, rate, review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Amazon, Castbox, Satchel Podcast Player, iHeartRadio. Thanks again for the support, and peace.